Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany. You know why you're here. I know why you're here. So let's go ahead and dive into part 5 of the Mica Miller story. We are going to watch another Brit video, a Brit TikTok, and I also found another creator. Her name on TikTok is True Crime with Megan. Everything will be in the description box. And then I found an article that we're kind of going to scrub through. It's a little bit difficult to look at, to watch, just because it has a kind of like a firewall to, like, I needed to subscribe to be able to actually read the whole thing. So I did what I could. So this is going to include allegations of JP's ex-wife and what she alleged to happen in an affidavit for the divorce, the timeline of JP getting to know and or talking to dating Mica while he was with his ex-wife, which, why would he still be a pastor at this time? God knows, but he was. And then we're going to watch clips of the funeral because, disgustingly enough, JP speaks at her funeral. I actually, if this is something that y'all want to see, we're going to watch clips of it today, but I screen recorded the whole entire funeral of when JP speaks. So y'all let me know in the comments if you want me to react to that whole thing, or that is something that y'all want to see, just reacting to the different, like, you'll see why this is so gross. He says some very questionable things, shares some questionable pictures of her, of them, and his demeanor is, it's strange, man. It's strange. So we're gonna look at clips of it today, and if that's something that you want to see the whole thing, let me know. If not, totally cool too. I screen recorded it just in case. So a few things that are very suspicious, very fishy, very weird before we look at before we watch these videos. One topic is the family having a second autopsy. Well, JP, from my understanding, unfortunately, is the power of attorney because they were not officially divorced. So he got claim of her body. So he, being the disgusting man, in my opinion, that he is, he did not allow her family to see the body, to see her, unless they signed a cremation paper saying, yes, we need to cremate her. Because there are things from Brit that I have learned that it takes autopsy, it takes medical examiners a very long time, weeks to a few months, to get back to the cause of death. And one thing that they didn't even scrub for was gunshot residue on her hands, just to make sure. So there's nothing of that. So I do not know, nor does Brit know, she hasn't said anything about this, if she has already been cremated. But we do know that he had, in order for her family to be able to see her body, they first had to sign that cremation paper. How disgusting is that? And we'll talk more about the stuff that he says once we see. Y'all are gonna freak out. If you have not seen the funeral clips yet, you're gonna freak out, because sadly it wasn't like a shock to me, because from Christian upbringing and very, very Pentecostal, I've heard things like this at a funeral. This one thing at the funeral, but everything else is freaking weird. We're gonna watch a video from True Crime with Megan. It's titled "New Allegations Against JP Miller Have Come to Light." These allegations are from the ex-wife that she put on the affidavit.
Y'all, I swear, just when I think that like I've found out everything there is to know about the John Paul and Mica Miller case, like I find out more. I really hope you're not getting tired of me sharing updates and news about them, but there have just been bombshell claims from his ex-wife. They're not recent claims, but Daily Mail discovered some divorce papers.
Look how similarly Micah and his ex-wife. Like, I thought that was Micah until Megan was like, oh, there's, like, I thought that was her.
Papers, affidavits, and all, and those have just now, what was said in them, it's just been released. Y'all got to listen to this. So there's an affidavit from 2017 where John Paul's first wife accuses him of committing sex acts with children under the age of 16, guys. And she accuses him of having an addiction to prostitution. Drop the F out of P. This was the same ex-wife that JP had an affair with Mica on. Okay, so he was married to this ex-wife who is pictured here on the right, and it's funny because she kind of favors Mica, in my opinion. Mica was said to have been the couple's babysitter, his ex-wife and John Paul's babysitter, and also she was married to the best friend of John Paul, and they are seen here getting married. The picture to the left, and guess who is officiating that wedding?
Isn't that so freaking weird? So that picture on the left is Micah and her first husband, and JP is officiating the wedding. Okay. Isn't it also weird that JP spoke at his girlfriend's husband's funeral? He inserts himself in a lot of weird, like, you can't tell me he's not involved somehow, because he's in everything. He's in everything.
You guessed it. JP did. Now, it was stated in the affidavit by his ex-wife, quote, "Our marriage and my husband's career were less than stable at the time because at the time my husband's affair was discovered, he had previously admitted to both me and our congregation that he had an addiction to prostitution. He had also confessed to me and other staff members of the church that he had sexual encounters with young females from the church who were under the age of 16. Unreal, that's what she said in the affidavit. It was said when his affair was discovered, the leaders in the church demanded that he have some type of sexual counseling for his sex addiction. It was said, though, that he refused and the majority of the church left. Reportedly, John Paul and his first wife were married in 2000, and they started Solid Rock Ministries shortly after they were married. So she then filed for divorce in 2015, and court documents stated that John Paul moved out of the family home in June of that year. And the same day he allegedly moved out of the home was the same day that Mica moved out of her marital home, allegedly. In the June 2017 affidavit, his first wife also said, quote, "Our separation was a result of my discovering that he was having an affair with the praise and worship leader in our church, who is also the weekly babysitter of our 4 children and the wife of his best friend. His marital misconduct not only destroyed our marriage, but also caused me to lose my church family and my income, along with severely damaging the relationship between John Paul and our children." The affidavit also said that John Paul allegedly admitted to his first wife and members of the church that he did have sexual encounters with females under the age of 16 that went to that church.
How is this man still a pastor? If he is telling the elders all of this stuff, and if he is coming out to his own congregation, which I didn't know they started this church, that makes so much more sense as to why, in my opinion, the congregation is so brainwashed, because he started the damn church. I didn't know that. How on earth, after him saying, hey, I did this, I was cheating on my wife, and now I'm dating the praise team, like, how in the world is he still allowed? I guess he's still allowed because that's his church, right? So I would imagine that's the reason behind it, is because it is his church. And again, like I said in part 4, follow the money.
This is unreal. She also stated this in the affidavit, quote, "I agreed to work with him to reach an agreement on resolving the issues of our marriage and not seen as an adultery divorce as an attempt to prevent him from further damage in his career as a church pastor." It was also stated that by sources that Mica's first husband filed for divorce on grounds of a completely broken marriage. It was said that John Paul's and Mica's affair came to light when they were caught in a sex act of 2016, allegedly. It was also stated that John Paul always said that he was just friends with Mica and that was all. But after all of that and him marrying her, the majority of the church ended up leaving that church. I just don't understand how he was able to be a pastor that long. Anyways, Divorce papers from his first marriage also show there was a bitter battle between JP and his first wife regarding alimony and child support. They initially signed a divorce agreement that JP pay $1,200 in child support and $1,100 in alimony. But it was said he only made one payment before he stated he could not afford the court-ordered amount. It was said also that he claimed he fell out of a tree and broke both legs while he was trying to reconcile with his first wife, and he ended up showing up to court in a wheelchair. So they then made an agreement to drop the child support amounts to $900 a month, with JP saying he shouldn't have to pay alimony because of an error on the divorce paperwork. There was a 5-month legal battle in November of 2016, but he eventually paid only $3,300 in alimony during the year of 2017. So I guess in a way at the time he got his way. But his first wife then accused him of manipulating his income from the church. He said it was hard to understand how he was suddenly making less when every aspect of the ministry had improved. She then accused him of buying a boat, motorcycle, a golf cart, saying she didn't understand how he could have those things but not afford to pay alimony. She also said she had to borrow $15,000 from her dad because JP would not pay the agreed amounts. I'm not surprised. JP then responded by saying he gave her everything in hopes that they would reconcile, and said he had no money or place to stay. He also accused her of allegedly screaming and cussing in front of his parishioners and harassing him when she would drop off the children. And also he said he was getting threats from his first wife's boyfriend at the time. There's that victim mentality. He then rebutted claims saying that he was earning more than ever in 2017. He said the stress of finances was unbearable and that he had to borrow $20,000 from friends. What friends loaned him $20,000 is what I want to know. The matter was all luckily resolved with JP finally agreeing to pay both child support and alimony. So wow, it just honestly... I'm not even going to tell you my thoughts on what it sounds like. I'm just simply stating the affidavit and what the court records say, and most of that is public record, so I'll just keep my thoughts to myself. But seriously, these claims about the prostitution and the sexual addictions, allegedly, and the young girls in the church, those are wild.
I've said this in another video before, that if a pastor, in my experience, in my opinion, if a pastor has multiple sermons to do with sexual immorality, pornography, prostitution, anything that is under the umbrella of sexual immorality, if a preacher talks about that more than anything, in my opinion, they are telling on themselves. They have cheated, they are addicted to porn, like she said, prostitution, anything under that umbrella, those are the demons that they are struggling with. I have seen it firsthand multiple times from youth pastors, from senior pastors, from praise team leaders, from any, mostly men, obviously, to know that allegations have come out from the ex-wife in an affidavit, in a legal binding document that you can get in trouble for lying about. He was addicted to prostitution. It does not surprise me. It's not surprising one bit. Now we're going to scrub through an article that really talks about the alleged things that JP was struggling with and wanted to do sexually. Like I said, there is a paywall on it, so I did the best that I could without paying anything to get the article, so y'all will know what I mean once it's up here. And this is from Fitz News. Mica, I don't know how to pronounce her middle name, Francis, says she met her husband, known as PJP, to the growing congregation when she was just 10 years old. At the time, the 25-year-old father of multiple children was married to his first wife, Allison Williams, who bore a striking resemblance to Mica. Yeah, it's a little scary. The divorce of Allison and John Paul Miller was finalized on October 29, 2015, and he married Mica in 2017 when she was 23 years old. Mica, who was raised in the church, immediately took on the role as the pastor's wife at Solid Rock. The couple's smiling faces featured prominently on the church's now defunct website, offering a warm welcome to its neighbors. Yeah, the church's website doesn't work. I've tried to look on that website so many times, but it kicks back saying, oh, the page cannot be found. Like, they took down their whole website. According to the website, Mica became more active in the day-to-day activities by the church in 2020, joyfully singing on the praise team and creating all the graphics for the church. From the outside looking in, their marriage was perfect, but according to her friends, they were not as they appeared. Mica's closest friends indicated the marriage began deteriorating about 2 years ago, but most of them were unaware of how bad things had gotten until the fall of 2023. Around this time, JP read an apology letter to the church board members explaining that the couples had separated and admitting that he had been exchanging text messages with a daughter of a couple who were members of the church. JP is also said to have informed the board that he and Mica agreed they could see other people while they were separated. They claim more than a few of the board members questioned. Yeah, because it doesn't matter. If you are a Christian and you are in the church, it does not matter if you are separated. It doesn't matter if it's a verbal, hey, we're separated. Like, even if you are separated and you agree to it, if you are a Christian, that is adultery. You need to be legally divorced before carrying on another relationship with a woman. Now, it doesn't say that they were sexually active. Okay, whatever. Which I think we can say, yes, they were, in our opinion. But if you are a Christian, you do not, coming from, the church biblically, without saying like it was adultery, you have to finish that marriage with the divorce and then go to your next relationship. It is not, oh, we verbally said we can date other people. Like, that's not how that works in Christ. Like, as a Christian, that's not how that works. And especially as a pastor, that is not how that works at all. Several longtime friends of the couple belonged to the church began feeling uncomfortable with the seemingly strange new messaging and tone of his weekly sermons. As a result, they opted to seek a new church to call home. When Mica realized her friends no longer belonged to the church, she began opening up to them. According to multiple friends, what the young wife claimed she was experiencing at the hands of her husband was horrific. According to them, Mica was, as court documents supplied by her family attested to, a woman afraid for her life. Mica was a devout Christian. She cherished the faith and the fellowship she found within the church. Friends say she endured years of abuse at the hands of her husband silently, afraid that if she spoke the truth to those closest to her, it would affect their relationship with God. While those who are not devout followers of Christ may struggle to understand her hesitancy, those who are say Mica was ultimately striving to protect the one thing which brought her the most peace during the time she struggled most, her faith. When she realized she now had fellowship outside of the church in which she was raised, she knew it was time to seek the guidance of those she trusted and loved the most. Friends say Mica told them her husband, the same husband who preached regularly about the dangers of pornographic addictions, was himself addicted to sex. They say he required her to have sex with him 3 to 5 times a day at night. When she refused to comply, they claim he kept her awake by blaring loud music in her ears and throwing water on her as she drifted off to sleep, a form of torture utilized in interrogation techniques. When Mica couldn't meet his demands, according to her friends, he allegedly began forcing her to take testosterone shots to increase her sex drive. He also allegedly began engaging in other methods of sexual gratification, methods which dehumanized Mica. Several of these methods, which can be described as humiliating to his reserved wife, allegedly involved animals, homeless men, and sex toys. Okay, now we are going to watch the last video, and it is from Britt, and it is covering more of the funeral, of what JP says at the funeral. That is incredibly disturbing. A news outlet who is keeping up with this case and somebody who is in direct contact with JP, and he fesses up to a few things that he has done to Mica, and it's bewildering and it's absolutely disgusting.
I came into some information yesterday. I screen recorded a bunch of stuff and I want to show it with you because I don't know if everybody has seen the interviews that were done by Ashley Banfield or by News Nation, but they have been in direct contact with JP, and you guys need to see some of the things that he has said.
Bring in News Nation's senior investigative reporter, Rich McHugh, who has been digging into this story for us all week long. Rich, there is this incredibly important sort of stalking report. And we were talking about it quite a bit after we discovered that Mica had taken her life. It talks about a tracker being put on her car. It talks about her tires being slashed. It talks about this device being jabbed into her tires to let the air out. It talks about a man showing up at a gas station, then following her to a car dealership, and that man's name was redacted all the way through. Last night, we learned the man's name was actually John Paul Miller, the estranged husband, the man who everybody had pointed to as the cause of all of this prior. Now we actually have an email from him when he's admitting to some of this behavior. What have you found out?
We've come into a lot of information that has been sent to the police, and that's the key thing here, because people are wondering, okay, so what are police to do with all of these allegations? Do they even know? And now we know that her family has forwarded all of this information to the police. One of the things that is included in these documents is an apology email from him to Mica on April 15th of this year, which is about 12 days before she died. In it, he writes, "I'm sorry for damaging your car, tires, etc. If you ever come back, I will turn in both cars and get you a nice SUV or whatever car you want. Again, my horrible flesh pattern of hurting someone when they hurt me." So there you have it. He's kind of outing himself.
He has also admitted directly to you that he's the person who put the tracker on the car.
That's right. That's right. So earlier this week, I believe it was Monday, I engaged with him and he started talking back with me, kind of unprovoked. And I also want to read this because this thing stood out to me when I read it at the time. I didn't really know it. He said, this is JP to me, "I even hired a PI to put trackers on her car to know if she was going to a gun store because she kept trying to get a gun for the past few months. I have never once in my entire life ever hurt her in any way, ever." I was just communicating with him on text, drawing him out, and he kept texting and texting and texting. I've officially asked him for an interview. His attorney has, of course, said no.
There were allegations that Mica had been threatened, that a topless photo of her would be posted on the internet. And now he is admitting that it was him. He was the one making those threats.
Yes, so this goes back to this apology letter that we have. It's an apology letter from him to Mica, dated April 15th. In it, he's apologizing for a series of things, and one of them is a photo that was produced on the internet. It was topless of her. We're not going to show that here, of course, but in the apology, he says, "I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I was hurt that you were telling everyone horrible, intimate details of my past sin, and I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that."
In my opinion, he was scared and he was threatened that Mica was finally opening up to her friends about his past demons or present, whatever. But I think that he just wanted to be able to control the narrative and hurt her because she hurt him by telling her friends the absolute truth. But for him, it's like, oh no, but I'm your husband and you shouldn't talk badly about me. So instead of his hurt little feelings, he decided to upload a topless picture of his wife and post it everywhere. Just for an hour though, so it's not that big of a deal. That's terrible. Again, I think that he is really lashing out because he now no longer had control over her, in my opinion.
Oh, so yeah, it's only up there for an hour. Like that doesn't have life elsewhere when people download naked photos and they live forever. And I'm sorry, but there's the but. Like that's, again, just a classic pattern. You have also seen text messages between John Paul Miller and Mica's family. What were in those text messages?
Some of the text messages I've seen were pictures of text chains where her family was communicating, and Mica was on there, but Mica, this was at a time where I believe she was in the hospital, and so the Mica jumps into the conversation and said something like, Happy Valentine's Day to me. And I believe her mother or a relative says, Mica, is that you? And it was quickly figured out that this was not Mica. This was JP. That it was his interpretation, legal interpretation, that it was marital property.
And I also think you need to see some of the clips that were taken from Mica's memorial service that he did at the church before they formally removed him for a time of healing and rest, whatever that means to him.
The next one. She was all big into tattoos, and I cannot stand tattoos because they hurt and I don't like pain. And the first time we went, she had gotten the 2 crosses, and she begged and begged and begged for me to get the matching tattoo. So we went to the tattoo guy, and I said, listen, I don't like pain. I said, can we start with the smaller one? That way, if it hurts too bad, we can just stop. It really hadn't hit me. I've gotten to spend, as Christians, of course, we know she's not here and in heaven, and she's, worshiping and enjoying, and probably hadn't even had time to look down here yet. But I got to lay next to her body and spend time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time
Did you hear what he said? He laid down next to her body and spent time with her body 4 times. She says, quote, I laid next to her body 4 times this week. The horror. He was not a loving husband in mourning. This is so unbelievable that her abuser was allowed access to her via the police. And you'd think that they'd kind of check up on him once in a while, but he literally told his congregation that he laid with his dead, almost ex-wife.
Still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up, I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week. And
that's the part that I was referring to, that if you are in the church and you are in a church where they do believe in laying on of hands and miraculous signs and wonders and speaking in tongues, I've heard this so many times. If you haven't heard this, it's still weird. It's still hey man, we can't do that. But in a very Bible-based church, which I don't think this church is, but this isn't a normal thing to think and to say, hey, maybe she can be raised from the dead type of thing, which is so weird. But I wanted to clarify that's the thing that I've heard before.
and that morning, actually, I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Mica's dresses, and she had the same tattoo Mica has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, Mica! And the girl turned around, and it was one of her sisters. And I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive, But I can't wait to see her again one day.
You raised her from the dead, and where did she go? The mall. She got a second chance of life, and she's going to spend it at the mall. Dude.
She was so creative. Everything she did was so creative. What's the next picture?
Here's the thing that I find very interesting, is that, number one, it's weird that he is doing her funeral, right? It being the ex-husband and being the past, it's I guess being the pastor of the church, you would do that. That is a very common thing, but not as the estranged husband. And the fact also that right now he has a girlfriend, unless they're not together anymore over the last week. He has a girlfriend, and he's doing, this is very, very, very weird behavior that I do not understand. And I read in one of Britt's TikToks, if anybody knew an analyst of body language, so they could kind of analyze this whole entire funeral that JP spoke in, just to see, because at the very end, I'm not sure if this shows it or it was actually the whole recording, but at the very end, he doesn't have tears. And then he, like, he gets out of that really fast. So it's very interesting.
What's the next picture? She'd stop. We'd be on the way to like a show or something. She'd say, "Stop, I gotta get a picture." I said, "We're gonna be late." She said, "I don't care." What's the next picture? Next picture. So one of the things she did for me is I'm a comic guy, right? So this is things she did that was just out of the givingness of her. She dressed up like Mystique, the last one. So the next picture, she loved this picture. Imagine being married to that. It was like that in our house all the time.
Okay, but then I saw this video, and the implications of it are explosive.
And my last one, this is my favorite. This is my man.
Let me read this. What he's about to do, we refer to as, I don't know how to pronounce that word, sorry, meaning improperly reading the scriptures and making the text about himself, aka, quote, "I am David and this story is about me."
2 Samuel chapter 11. David saw a woman bathing. There's pornography. He lay with her. There's sexual morality. She became pregnant. There's a child out of wedlock. So King David sent her husband to the front line of fighting so he would die. Uriah died. There's murder. And what?
Let me read. Sounds like narcissism. That's hard. You can see it. Allegedly cheats on his first wife. These are allegations according to JP and what he's done. Allegedly cheats on his first wife, allegedly grooms a youth girl and hides affair, allegedly lies to the church about affair, allegedly has a thing for prostitutes and underage girls, allegedly abuses Mica in every possible way. The red flag, the murder one. I'll hurt back when I've hurt, and I can't live without you. Allegedly. Those are allegedly the things that he has said to Mica. But what Britt is saying here is the huge relation between the story of David, what he is preaching, and what allegations are against JP.
Watch what God says about him in Acts 13:22. I found David to be a man after my own heart. He does everything? God. You don't remember the whole on the roof incident? God, come on.
Just wait to hear the mental state that he was in and the things that he says from the pulpit while knowing the way he spoke about Mica.
For the past 4 weeks, I've had the most horrible battle and horrible time of my entire life. I've never, ever, 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 not even close, been through what I'm going through right now in life. Not even close. Horrible. I mean, horrible, so bad. I'm seeing a psychiatrist every week. I'm on 900 milligrams of lithium.
My name's Agam Dewan. I'm a board certified.
Listen, he goes on to list any other mental stuff that he's going through. But if you are under that much duress as a pastor, you need to step down. You need to step down. But I think, and he goes on to say that he's just so prideful. I think that not even a good pride. I think he is so prideful, too prideful, that since he created this church, that he's the only senior pastor. Because now that I am aware that he is the one who, like, foundationally created this church, he is the top dog. He is the guy that other people go to say, hey, JP, like, this is what we need, like, blah, blah, blah. So there aren't people up above him, like, in authority to say, hey, you're wrong, you need to step down. So that answers the question as to how and why he has been a pastor for so long, despite all of the shitty things that he's done.
I'm a psychiatrist, and my job is to diagnose and treat mental health conditions. Lithium is an old AF medication used to treat bipolar disorder. It's used to treat manic episodes, depressive episodes, as well as maintaining normalcy in bipolar. It is widely regarded as the best medication for bipolar disorder, especially for bipolar mania when you're in the high phase.
I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm doing everything I can just to be able to get out of bed. I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm battling suicidal thoughts. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out.
If you are a pastor and having suicidal thoughts, step down. Step down. What are you doing?
I mean, horrible. I'm in such a bad place. I am so prideful, or at least I battle pride so strongly, that I can preach a sermon 2 times and not think about myself at all and only think about y'all. That's a lot of...
I cannot believe the people of this church believe this and are going with it. One thing before we finish this video, it is very interesting. I have been posting on my Facebook, and I have tagged Solid Rock of Market, Common Marketplace, I think it's called. I have tagged this church, and I don't know if they can untag or whatever, but every time I tag it, it is the correct church. I check every time. I go back and look at the post, because when you tag something, it becomes blue. I go back and look at the post, and it's no longer blue, and they've untagged it. So people are seeing the church that he is affiliated with. They are seeing other people's posts. They're seeing that, and they don't want to be affiliated with it, in my opinion, because nobody's talking. So they've untagged it and or made it to where people cannot tag their church anymore. And I find that very, very interesting.
Pride. That I can speak for 30 minutes on something from the Bible and not even think about myself.
It's delusion, sir. That is what it is. And in that mental state, you should not be leading people, which obviously we can agree that he should not be leading anybody ever. But this is not the mental state that is going to help the church. So I'm not sure if it was in part 3 or 4. I think it was in part 4, where I was explaining to y'all the sequence of events that Mica did, going to the pawn shop, going to get the drink, the 911 call, and going to her house. So there are things that are not lining up with the police reports that happen at the very beginning. For example, one police report said that the gun was in the water, okay? But then another police report said that the gun was in the car. So it doesn't make sense. And I've also watched a few former police officers' videos on this, and they've gone through some of the police reports and have said there's not enough information here. These police reports are done so poorly, coming from the opinions of former police officers. So this one, again, is from Britt, and it says, major findings in the Mica Miller case: forced cremation, swapped license plates, missing jewelry, tattoos, and no proper autopsy. Well, all of question marks. But as I was saying before, the sequence of events doesn't make sense and doesn't line up. And I remember saying that because at first it's like, yeah, when it comes about, you're like, oh man, there might be proof. But since this, allegedly, this police department is known for corruption, even though they have some type of timeline, it differs now. So if you are going to do an investigation and have evidence, I feel as though the evidence should be factual, but it has swayed so much to where I no longer believe in the sequence of events. This is why.
When I tell you that you're going to want to sit down and buckle in, I'm serious. I've gotten hundreds of messages asking what's going on with Mica's remains, and I can tell you, Kyler posted it was confirmed that Mica was cremated. Though I'm sure the family would have loved to do a second opinion autopsy, we need to talk about a couple things. Number one, the amount of medical examiners or funeral directors that are in my DMs every day explaining to me that an autopsy report takes multiple weeks to come back. Things like GSR, which was not done on Mica's hands. We don't know if there was any gunshot residue on her hands. Why you would skip that is beyond me. There is no toxicology report done. We don't know if there was anything in her system. No anything. We just skipped the whole process. Here's how I've been remembering this. Cause of death versus manner of death. What caused this chain of events to happen? In what manner or method did it occur? So for instance, right now we could determine the manner of death was GSW. What we can't determine was the cause of death or the longer extenuating circumstances, because we need toxicology reports done. There need to be tests and labs done to see if there was any poisons in the system, any drugs in the system, anything that could have caused this manner of death to occur. Does that make sense? From what I'm learning from all the medical examiners and funeral directors that I've spoken to is that this can take a minimum of 6 weeks, more than likely 3 to 6 months to get back properly. The speed of the result is concerning for a number of reasons. One being she was cremated, so there is no time to run a second autopsy or a first autopsy in that case, whatever ended up happening. I don't know, I wasn't there. This is all alleged. However, the issue that's happening here is that obviously the family would have liked to have a second opinion. I'm sure that that's what they would have wanted. However, this is problematic because there's a list that has to be followed in order to cremate a body. I'm going to explain it to you very simply. Number 1, person in charge of the will. Number 2, spouse. Unless order of divorce or separation. The problem was JP wasn't in charge of her cremation because Mica filed for divorce. That means it goes to the next in line. Formal signing, skip. Entry of permanent order, skip. The descendants surviving adult children, nope, skip. The descendants surviving parents, bingo. And guess what JP did? JP said, you can't see Mica's body unless you sign saying that she can be cremated. What a sicko. One of the biggest things that's happened so far in this case, in my opinion, is that Sierra, Mica's sister, just started a TikTok, and you're going to want to follow her immediately. It's at Justice for Mica. Very simple. Make sure you're following her. Make sure you engage with her videos. Make sure you're sharing and reposting her videos. It is crucial. I'm going to show you here screenshots so you have this video as well. But Sierra has access to inside messages between JP and Sierra, JP and Mica. Here they are for your viewing pleasure.
Okay, we're going to read as much as we can. Hey, this is Pastor J.P. Miller at Solid Rock. This is my new cell. I will not be giving this number out to everyone, so please don't share it. They can always call the church or email me. My old number will be deleted in a few weeks. Thank you. This was November 16th, 2022. Can you please have Mica call me or Charlotte? I don't know who that is. I'm on the way to your house. Be there at 12:55. We don't want any drama here. That was the pretense of Mica coming for a visit. That it is just Mica alone. He says 3 hours away. She says, Matthew will not let you inside. We aren't doing none of that tonight. He says, that's fine. You can call the cops. She says, our dog can barely handle visitors as it is, let alone anything drama. And he says, I'm armed. I'm ready. She says, armed? He says, Mica can fix all of this. She says, this doesn't help anything. Threats and intimidation only make matters worse. I don't care. Driving, can't text. Thanks. 10:18 p.m., same day. If you come here, the cops will be here waiting. If you stay home, they don't need to be involved. You can't make a threat about being armed and come to my home in the middle of the night. That's not safe for anyone involved. He says, fine by me. All of this started because of one bad decision a month ago in Colombia. If I could turn back time, I would. We had the greatest marriage in the world up until that one wrong choice. I wonder what that was. It can continue down that path, or we can have an amazing marriage once again. The choice is yours. Love you. If you come home today, we can take off the rest of the year and go to counseling every day, go to Iceland, do whatever in order to get well. I also desperately want a child with you. I'm just scared of this. This is the only reason I wouldn't. I'm scared of divorce or putting the kids through things like this where you leave and aren't willing to do whatever it takes.
My blood is on you, and my kids will know. This is JP. I couldn't take it without you. All you had to do was come home to me, but you wouldn't do it. I'm done. All you had to do was love me enough to drive home to me, but you don't even care that much about me. I love you. I'm sorry. Tell Sierra I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Okay. Fucking bitch tried to get me arrested. Pastor loves the Lord. Cool. Every single piece of everything Mica owns or has any part is in the back of my truck. Ask her where she wants it. 2 options: on the outskirts of your property or trash or Goodwill. There is nothing left inside of this house that has any attachment to her. 20 large garbage bags full. She can choose where she wants if she calls me. It's not at your place. It's gone. This was the next day, so the 17th. If she comes home today, tell her I'm sorry. So sorry. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm sorry to you and Matt. This is bananas. This is very, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Please come home. Please come home. Fuck you, bitch. You tried to get me arrested. I'm coming on. But we can go to Iceland and try to make everything work. But this is crazy, dude. This is a little triggering, but here we are. Here's your pastor, Solid Rock Church, at 1 a.m. texting Mica's sister, and he's bagged up her stuff and is dumping it out her house or Goodwill. Then a few hours later, saying to Mica's sister, if she comes home today, tell her I'm sorry, and I'll do whatever it takes. Stable. I love that. Sierra's response to JP. Why are you texting me instead of her? This is 8:30 a.m. on the 17th. Why are you texting me instead of her? She was just coming for a visit until Tuesday. I even asked her first, did you know she was coming? And was there going to be any issues? She said y'all were having a little bit of trouble, but you guys were fine, and she was just coming for a few days, and you knew where she was going. You are sending these corrective, kind sounding messages, but still starting with an ultimatum if you come home today. To what? Change locks, shut off phone, and clothes and bags? She didn't leave you in her mind. She told everyone she was coming back on Tuesday. She told me she just wanted to get away for a few days, Tuesday at the latest. Your brain is playing tricks on you to reach and assume the worst scenarios. It happens to us all, but you have to be able to control yourself or y'all will never move past these bad days. They will just get worse and worse each time.
This is Sierra trying to explain to JP why his behavior is completely irrational.
Sometimes it takes space, it takes time. It takes backing away long enough to collect one's thoughts and make positive decisions instead of acting out of fear or confusion. If you love each other like you both say you do, then you have got to let her be. She even said she was hoping to meet you at the hot air balloon before all this show out happened because it was something you were really excited to do. Let her have her space. We are products of our parents. She is doing what we do, reclusing for a short period of time in a safe, supportive environment, luckily. Just be happy she has that and she's not somewhere everyone is saying give up and run. I did not involve our family or Matthew yesterday out of respect for Mica because I know y'all can work through your issues if you are both willing to work on it, but that will not come by threats and manipulation. And just so you aren't still thinking nonsense, she's not awake. She didn't sleep all night, so I'm not waking her up. And this is JP. Biblically, when your spouse needs you, nothing else should come before that. Thank you for being kind to me in spite of my craziness. Please show her text. If you unblock her, she can message you herself. That's crazy. Why did he block his wife? Nope. Tell her we can go on our Asheville vacation that's already paid for if she comes home. It starts tomorrow morning. He is just doing anything and everything to get her back home. If not in like a good way, obviously. If she will come home today and we go on our $3,000 vacation that's already paid for, I have a list of how we can make our marriage amazing and all will be okay. Tell her her phone will be back on in 30 minutes. 5 years ago, U.S. Mark, Dan, Erica all got married the same month. Now, all of us are going through a divorce in the same month. If she actually cares, she will do exactly what God wants and do whatever it takes to make it work. You win. I'll allow you to completely destroy me, continue to hurt me, and will I'm hurt, you leave. But I'll still beg for you back and do whatever it takes for you to come home. This Asheville trip could change everything. You'll never find another man who loves you enough to do whatever it takes after you treat him the way you treated me.
Things just get crazier. Kyler posted the other day that Robeson County report, they made sure to use the correct tag number for JP's truck, South Carolina tag number XIM 865. But what they don't tell you is that this tag number was also picked up on a traffic camera on April 27th at exactly 12:30 on the Mark Clark Expressway in North Charleston, heading out of town. Remember, his alibi was that he was in Charleston. The soccer games were over by 12:25 p.m. that Saturday in North Charleston, which is where that highway runs through and exits to a main highway. The Robeson County report doesn't detail when and what time he was seen leaving Charleston, just that the truck was there that day. Not that he was spotted there. The truck was there that day with tinted blacked out windows that you can't see inside of. This also was just explosive. She says, we all heard by now that Mica paid her car taxes on a vehicle that was registered to her and only her the day before her death. This is true and it's on record. They were past due from December of 2023, and we've also seen it to be like common knowledge that Mica was struggling financially. It all checks out. The tag number was South Carolina tag number WUP747 with the VIN number ending in 7697 for a 2019 Honda Accord. Plates and car. You can see the Honda Accord was registered to Mica Acacia Miller with the VIN number up at the top. The only problem is the tag number that's used in the report from the Robeson County Police Sheriff's Department is it belongs to a blue Chrysler Town & Country. So she swapped the license plate out. But Robeson County is digging themselves a nice fat hole because see this nice little necklace right here? The one that Mica is obviously wearing in quite literally every picture over the last couple of months. Same one right here. She wasn't wearing it. She wasn't wearing it. She was wearing it.
That's what I'm saying. This is weird. This is weird. Like, this sheriff's department needs to address this. When I first saw this blew my ever-loving mind. This is crazy.
Wearing it. Not wearing it. Wearing it as she's leaving. Also, no tattoo on her hand. Crazy. This tattoo. Very visible tattoo. Just not there anymore. Guess who was wearing it? Ask yourself a couple questions. Why did JP want her cremated so badly? Any guesses? I really can't get over this one. I used to work in the funeral industry and interned at our ME department, which is nationally known for good things. Autopsies and final reports take weeks to come out. Doesn't matter how busy they are, tissue samples, blood samples, forensic photographer reviews, it takes weeks. They have to confirm if drugs or any other underlying medical conditions are present, which would be cause of death. There is no way they can definitively state that this was the COD. The pictures from inside her car literally make me sick. Here's the case, her jacket, a Ziploc with a grilled cheese sandwich, a Celsius, and then a phone call saying that she wanted to make sure that she was found, but she ended up in the water. Why would you make it so difficult for them to find you? Anyone have any answers? No matter how many ways you slice it, 1 + 1 will never equal 6. If we're missing variables, there's a reason. The math ain't mathin'.
Why aren't her tattoos in those pictures? the necklace, in a, like, why in the world? Why in the world isn't anybody else talking about this? Why isn't the sheriff's department and or police department, I'm not sure which one, why aren't they being held accountable for this? Y'all, this story is getting crazier and crazier by the day. But again, I will say the truth will always come out. The truth is continuing to come out about JP, to where I have no doubt in my mind and in my body that someone is going to talk if they follow the money. If some crazy reason, or if the police department, if somebody talks and is like, nope, this ain't right, like, I know what's going on, like, somebody is going to talk, somebody is going to follow them, like, it has to be boom, wide open for sure, because nothing makes sense. And I hope the right people look further into this that can do something about it, because, you know, us content creators, we can just talk about it, but legally, I mean, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Financially, we can help, we can give it support, we can give it life by speaking to it and speaking about it, but like, for the law, what do we do? So I really hope there are right people, and maybe there's a PI on TikTok or something that's like, hey, this ain't right, let me help you. And something has to happen. And I do believe we're getting closer and closer for all of this to implode in JP's face, as it should. So I appreciate y'all so very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.